Hey guys, this is Pat from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be installing a outside faucet on our house and be a little more accessible to watering and truck and car washing and such as that. Now we have to stretch a hose out over 50 feet and then around the front of the back of the garage here in order to get water out in front. So this will just make it a little bit more accessible for water. And so today I'm going to show you how to install that faucet and actually plumb into a 1/2 inch copper pipe. I know that there's new PEX pipe and stuff like that out there that'll plug right into CTS, but I just wanted to show you some of the old techniques of sweating pipe. So I'll take you through that process from start to finish. So here we have our access. This is our bathroom sink area. I had to replace a washer in this particular angle stop here for the sink. These are the hot and cold for the sink. And so today I'm going to tap into the cold water line. So with this application I just use a simple 1/2 inch paddle bit or 1.5 inch paddle bit to give me plenty of room so I can work my pipe into the openings here. And I'll show you why, one of the reasons why I cut the hole so big. Number one is I had the paddle bit, it's 1.5 inches. You can get by with a smaller one, like 1.25 inches would have been absolutely perfect, but I didn't have 1.25 inches. This particular bit I had to sharpen. It, as you can see, it's old and rusty. It's been sitting around for a while, kicked around, so I went ahead and sharpened the bit and it works great. So basically what you have to do is you have to find out, know where your plumbing is, know where your electrical is before you get started. I had no electrical in this wall here. Over to the left, I know that there's an electrical outlet there. So, and anytime I'm cutting into sheetrock, I'm very gentle. I try not to, today I just used a simple jigsaw, and I just hold the blade in about a 5/8 of an inch and just kind of graze it along like this, and that way I go ahead and hit the studs, then it's not so abrasive. I can feel the stud, come up with it, and just chatter through the sheetrock. I can feel the end of the stud, and I just kind of keep working back that way in a straight line over to the outside stud here. So I got a hole opened up here to where I can get in here and work, and I got my hole cut. So everything is on the level between the point I want to tap in. This hole is the same elevation as this hole here on the studs. So my pipe, they like you to have a slight slope downward towards the outside of the hose bib to allow it to drain. I got a frost-free hose bib that you should be able to have it drain when you have it in the off position. So what I got is I'm going to put a T in here and a short piece of 1/2 inch copper tube size copper pipe, and I'm going to use lead-free solder to solder it all together again. And so I'm going to take you outside and show you what I got out there. Okay, as you can see, I used my paddle bit, augured clear through the wall here. What a guy should do is you should pre-fit everything first. The frost-free faucet doesn't come with this, or didn't come with any foam. And one reason I'm putting this foam on here is to keep any cold air from penetrating the wall, and so I can keep that warm and frost-free. I'll take in the heat of the house. And I removed the stem out of the faucet, because what I have to do is I have to sweat copper end onto that threaded piece there. I have to adapt from 1/2 inch, so that fitting would be called a 1/2 inch female iron pipe size to 1/2 inch CTS sweat. And so what I got to do is I put that on there relatively tight right now, but before I solder, and then I'm going to go ahead and solder that my pre-cut pipe. I already done all my measurements, so I don't have to, you guys don't have to go through that painstaking event. This foam right here is just a real dense foam. That's what's on our floating floor in our dance room. That's an underlayment in between the subfloor and the floor itself. That's got a little washer on the bottom of it, or a little rubber seal on the bottom of it that goes against the seat inside the faucet. And so I removed this so it doesn't get hot and burn up. I removed that so putting in these outside screws would be easier. And so the handle, I removed the handle, and then I also removed the stem. I probably didn't really have to remove the handle, but I did. This cleans out the inside of a fitting, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean up this tee, get all the oxidation out of the tee and the inside. I just move that brush in just back and forth. It's really important when you go to sweat pipe to do this, because if you don't, you're liable to get a leak. As you can see, the difference between the shiny, the cleaned up portion, and the portion that has not been brushed. Now this little device here is for cleaning the outside of the pipe. So this pipe, this 1/2 inch pipe here, is going to go inside the tee. So next thing you want to do is put paste flux or soldering flux on your fittings, on all the surfaces of your fittings. So just take a little brush and do a good coating on the inside where your solder connections are going to be. Now, I'm not shy about putting that on there either, because when that heats up, that solder will just flow all around that and give you a great results. Okay, the first connection I want to do is I want to make this connection here, and then I want to tighten this onto this. Screw on the pipe connection to the hose bib, and so that way when I go into the wall I can line this up however I want to. This will already be tight because I'm going to, when this solder cools, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to this male 1/2 inch iron pipe size thread, and then this will be tight. So this will be stationary all the way through here, and then this I can rotate and line up perfectly to the pipe, the water feed pipe. So I put that on, it seats itself to the inside. I get my lead-free solder. So what I'll do is I'll heat this up on this side here, and the heat will transfer. I'm going to try to heat both pipes at the same time. Get that really hot, and the heat is going to work around each side of the pipe, and by the time it gets to the solder, the time it melts the solder will work all around inside the two pieces of pipe, the pipe coming in and the adapter. Simply let it cool. Now, copper pipe transfers heat really well. It's a good conductor. So anything that's a good conductor is really going to transfer heat fast. So You know, this right here, I can touch this, but it's pretty warm to the touch on this back side of this pipe. That pipe is less than 12 inches long, so heat really transfers along good conductors. Now I'm looking at my pipe, and everything, the solder has flowed all the way around, and you can see just right in here where there's just a little bit of solder you can see, so it's made it clear around to the back side of the fitting. So I'm just going to let that cool down for just a few minutes. Now what I have here is I have some Rector Seal, and it's just a liquid Teflon application putting together fittings. You can use this on air fittings or also for drinking water applications. So now I have that fitting good and tight. My whole idea here is to line this up. So I want to put my screws in here where it's going to be permanent, you know, as if it was permanent. So I know exactly where to cut my feed pipe. I'm still going to wait to put this in because I'm going to be doing some sweating in the back side of this, and it might transfer heat and decide to melt this little rubber, seal on that, and then I'd have to replace that rubber seal. So we'll go inside and take a look, see how things are going to line up on the inside so I know where to make my cut. Okay, as you can see, we have the pipe penetrating the wall. We have the soldered fitting, or the soldered adapter, 1/2 inch threaded to 1/2 inch sweat, and my short piece of pipe runs through that stud and then through the second stud and is ending up right where I want it, and that is just touching the 1/2 inch feed pipe here. So I went out and shut the water off, and I drained an outside hose bib, the lowest point that I could get on the system, in order to help drain some of the water off away from where I'm going to be working. So I'm going to move back in here, and I'm going to mark out where I want that pipe to be cut out, because if you look on this T, I have to have a 1/2 inch between where my thumb is and where my thumb is now in order to accommodate that opening. I just can't cut the pipe obviously just in half here. I have to actually cut a little short piece out of it. So I'm going to mark here, and I'll mark, and then I'll remove this pipe again so I have more area to work in. Okay, here we are where we want to tie in. As you can see, I've removed the pipe that goes to the faucet, and so now I have to cut out a little 1/2 inch section where I want my T to be. Okay, what I'm going to use is a small pipe cutter. This is a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch pipe it cuts, and you can see this little V-notch right here. That fits right, that cradles in the pipe and keeps the pipe cutter square with the cutter that's right here. You can see that cutter just inside the top of this, and what that does, it just rotates around the pipe. Now I'll cut a little piece of pipe and demonstrate for you how that works. So I'm going to go around the pipe. I've got this loosened up over a 1/2 inch so it goes around the pipe, and then I tighten this and I work it back and forth, get it worked into that groove to where it's going to cut nice and straight, And then I just slightly tighten that, and I'm going to rotate this around the pipe. Now, as this gets easier to turn, that means the wheel is starting to turn and cut into the copper. So I tighten the wheel up a little more, rotate it around some more, keep tightening. Now you can roll this one way or the other, it doesn't matter. And the one thing you want to make sure, I've done this before, is that you want to make sure that your line that your cutter stays in the groove, the first groove, because if you're not careful and the pipe cutter is not square on the material you're trying to cut, it'll start to act like a screw and it'll start working out one way or the other. So you want to make sure on your first couple of turns that your groove, that the cutter follows the groove every time. So that's going to be a nice clean cut right there. And it comes apart just like that. Then I'll clean up my ends, put my fitting on there, and we'll be good to go. Now I just line up my cutter with the line. Now some are going to ask, well, after you made this cut right here, why didn't you just unscrew this from this adapter that this actually bolts onto a stud back here, a cross piece in here, support. There's a screw here and a screw on the other side, and that is just an elbow that mounts to the wall for support, and this is a threaded fitting here for a piece of pipe that comes out and attaches to the angle stop here. But some will say, well, how come you didn't take this out of here and just put the T on there and save yourself another cut? Well, I want to land the screws back in the same place where I took them out, that's why. Now I'm going to take this out of here. Okay, now I can clean my ends up. I'm rotating that as I'm pulling it up so I can get a good clean cut all the way, or good clean, the bristles will catch every piece of the pipe on the way up, so there's no missed spots. We'll put our soldering flux on there, coat the whole pipe. Some guys will take the burr out of the inside of the pipe, but I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm not concerned about that at all. And I'm going to clean up this side. We've already cleaned up the T. Okay, now we're outside. I have this pushed into that T in the inside. Now I want to put this, put the mounting screws on there so everything is perfectly lined up. Okay, so that's all in place. I'm going to leave my stem out while I do my solder project. Now everything inside here, everything inside the building should be lined up. Now all I have to do is solder it together. Okay, before I solder, especially in a wall like this where you have a lot of dry studs, a lot of burnable type material in here, I have a fire extinguisher close, and I also carry a little water bottle, and I probably should have more water in this than that, but just in case things get too hot, I can put out the fire fairly quick and keep the house from burning down. Okay, hopefully you guys can see what I got going on here. I'm just going to spray that 2x4 just a little bit on the bottom there. I don't want any water getting into my fitting here. I try to angle the heat away from the wood as much as I can. So this is an optimal position to where I can get the gravity to help feed the solder down towards the heat. Now, a little bit of water being sprayed on the wood's not going to hurt anything. It's going to dry out pretty fast. I'll leave this wall open so there's going to be no threat of rot or anything like that happening. So now I can remove the heat sink. Turn that valve off. Spray a little more water in there just in case there's a spark going on in there. I don't see anything hot other than the pipe just cooling down. And like I say, just a little bit of water in there. Just got a light coat of water in there just to, you know, if anything gets charred or whatever, won't want any fires to be happening. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the water on. You're going to witness this, and we're going to see if this thing holds. Okay, all is good. Now I know there's plumbers out there that can do these fittings here and not get a whole bunch of solder on there, but you know, I'm not shy about using solder, as you can see. Brushing the fittings to where they're nice and shiny and using that flux is a real big secret in soldering. So there you have it, we have water. Okay, now we have a water source a little closer to some of our work that might help streamline what we do around here on the homestead. I hope this helps some folks out. You know, take care and God bless.